I'd like to call this special village board meeting of Thursday, March 19th, 2020 to order. Would the deputy clerk please take the roll?
President Jackson,
Here.
Trustee Schmidt,
Here electronically.
Trustee Sullivan,
Here.
Trustee Light,
Here.
Trustee Meritato,
Here.
Trustee Pojek,
Here.
and Trustee Schroeder.
Excused. In case people are wondering what's going on with that is with the order from the governor that meetings can be held electronically at this point in time if board members can't be here. We've had that instituted for a long time, many years, but that dealt with only if you were sick. Now with the special pandemic situation we're going through at this point in time, they have said that if people are better off being at home, that electronically they can participate in the meetings. So that is a special order by the governor. Would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
United States of
and
America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
One
God,
nation,
indivisible,
under God,
with liberty and justice for all.
with liberty and justice for all.
We now have public discussion of agenda items. There is only one item on this special board meeting agenda, and that is the executive session. So, if there's anybody in the public that wishes to address this board prior to the executive session, please step forward. If there is none, then we need to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5, ILCS 120/2, C1. A motion would be in order. Trustee Pojek,
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
roll call vote.
Trustee Schmidt,
I don't think he heard you.
Trustee Schmidt,
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan,
Yes.
Trustee Light,
Yes.
Trustee Meritato,
Yes.
and Trustee Pojek.
Yes.
We are going into executive session, and we'll be coming back out, and the regular board meeting will be at 7:30. I'd like to call this special meeting back to order. No action was taken in executive session, and a motion would be in order to adjourn the special meeting so we can open up the regular board meeting. Trustee Pojek,
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Special meeting is adjourned. I'd like to call this village board meeting, regular village board meeting of March 19th, 2020 to order. Would the clerk please take the roll?
President Jackson,
Here.
Trustee Schmidt,
Here electronically.
Trustee Sullivan,
Here electronic.
Trustee Light,
Here.
Feel
Trustee
like a robot.
Trustee Meritato,
Here.
Trustee Pojek,
Here.
and Trustee Schroeder.
Excused. Heck, would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance for a second time? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
States of America.
to the republic,
To the republic for which it stands.
one nation,
One nation.
But
under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty.
With liberty and justice for all.
We're not having regular community announcements tonight because there's not much to say about activities going on. However, we need to update the public on what is going on at this time. On Tuesday evening, March 17th, in keeping with actions taken by federal, state, and county governments, I declared the state of disaster in the village of Glendale Heights. With the increasing concern over the spread of the coronavirus, or COVID-19, the village of Glendale Heights would like to assure its residents that all village and emergency services, police, fire, EMS, and public works will continue to operate as usual with no disruptions. The village crisis management team continues to meet with Amita Health, Adventist Medical Center Glen Oaks, the Glenside and Bloomingdale Fire Protection Districts, schools districts 15, 16, and 87, the Glenside Public Library District, and other key community organizations. We are working together on a cohesive plan during this pandemic. We will continue to inform the community of new information as it arises, along with updates on program and event cancellations, facility closures, and more on our website at www.glendaleheights.org. Residents are encouraged to take advantage of online village services and call the village with questions during regular business hours at 630-260-6000 or email anytime at publicrelations@glendaleheights.org, and David will make sure it goes to the department that needs to receive it. On behalf of the village board and the village of Glendale Heights, please be safe and remain calm as we get through this unprecedented pandemic. Instead of arguing, judging, and criticizing each other, we all need to come together as a community to help everyone get through this difficult time. Big thank you to our first responders, the healthcare providers, grocery store workers, gas station workers, and all those that are trying to make this a time a little better for all of us. At this time, we have a brief presentation by Assistant Village Administrator Michael Marin on the village's response to the COVID-19.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. We are still making decisions on it seems like sometimes an hourly basis on the response to this pandemic. As the situation changes on the ground, as the situation changes by proclamations and executive order from the governor's office, It has been certainly a challenge. Our intent is to try and keep government services functioning as best we can. We have just a very short video.
The virus that causes coronavirus disease is spreading in some of our communities. This disease, also known as COVID-19, is thought to spread mainly from person to person through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. These droplets can spread to the mouth, nose, or hands of people who are nearby, or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. Take steps to lower your risk of getting sick. Here are some things you should do. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. You can also use hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Take extra measures to put distance between yourself and others. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Stay home if you're sick, except to get medical care. If you have severe symptoms, please call 911. Cover coughs and sneezes with a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Only wear a face mask if you're sick and around other people, or if you need to take care of someone who is sick. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces. Older adults and people who have severe chronic medical conditions like heart or lung disease or diabetes are at higher risk for more serious illness from COVID-19. This group should consult with their healthcare provider about additional steps to stay protected. For more information on COVID-19, please visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Let's work together to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities.
So that's a public service announcement from the Centers for Disease Control. That is the absolute best place to get factual information. We hear rumors on a regular basis of different things that are occurring, but the place to look is the CDC website because there's plenty of false information that goes around. We want to ensure everyone that the responses from the Glendale Heights Police Department have not been disrupted due to this pandemic. It is our intention to keep it that way, but we are making appropriate adjustments as we go through this. Right now, we have not had a lot of absences due to the pandemic, so we are certainly functioning at 100% in that particular category. Our Public Works Department, one of the things that I noted during the ramp up to the pandemic was the hoarding of bottles of water. And I looked at that and I found that odd, and I asked our Public Works Director, I said, is there going to be any effect to our drinking water? And she said, absolutely not. There is no reason to assume that there's going to be any problem with our drinking water. It runs normally. It is safe to drink, as safe as it was the day before the pandemic was announced. So that will continue. Everything at the Public Works Department is operating as normal. At this time, the Water Pollution Control Facility operates as normal. And again, safe drinking water. Our Sports Hub and Center for Senior Citizens are probably the parts of our community service that has been hit the hardest. All programs have been canceled at both the Sports Hub and Senior Center through March 29th. That is in keeping with the executive order from Governor Pritzker and mirrors the closures from the school district. The Center for Seniors is going to be, we will have staff available to answer the phones Monday through Friday from 7 to 5 p.m. Those calls can be answered at 630-260-6050. The Sports Hub will have staff available to answer calls between 8 and 6, Monday through Friday, 630-260-6060. And we obviously are encouraging everyone to take advantage of our online portals for any registration of future events that are occurring that have not been canceled yet. And as we continue to look forward, there will most likely be additional cancellations. And of course, we ask you to look to the website, as the mayor said, for those additional cancellations. All rentals that had been set up at both Senior Center and Sports Hub have also been canceled due to the executive order. Glendale Lakes Golf Club is operating normal hours for golf only. It's an outdoor event. It is done in groups of 4 or less. And quite honestly, at this point, some physical activity for people would be beneficial. So we felt it important to go ahead and leave the golf course open at this point. Obviously, if that changes, we will make those adjustments. However, golfers will not be allowed to sit at the tables in the bar area. All banquets and rentals have been canceled through March 29th. Only prepackaged food and drink options will be available, so cans of pop, bottles of Gatorade, bag of chips, and there will be no alcohol served at the golf course. Again, that is in keeping with the executive order from Governor Pritzker. Community Development Department right now is working normal hours. We are limiting the number of home inspections to mostly essential home inspections at this time. The rental inspections have been halted and suspended at this point. We are rolling out an online permit option. So we would ask if anyone needs an permit, especially for something like a shed or something of that nature, please contact our Community Development Department at 630-260-6030, and they will walk you through obtaining that online permit. Also, please check the website as well. And if you must come into the Village Hall, please remember to keep that 6-foot social distancing separation. The Finance Department, which handles the water bill payments, will also be open as well. Real estate transfer tax stamps can be purchased at the Finance Department at this point. And again, we would encourage you to pay any upcoming water bills online. Use the drop boxes in the circle out in front of Village Hall, or use our online options for payment. That is preferable for everyone, for our staff safety and also for your own safety. But if you do need to come to Village Hall for some reason, again, please remember to keep that 6-foot separation between you and anyone that might be in line with you. So again, the governor's executive order has required all restaurants and bars in town to be closed. They are open for curbside pickup. They are open for carryout. They are open for any delivery services or drive-through. So please keep that in mind, especially the drive-through. You wouldn't have to have contact with anybody. Please make sure you remember those business owners, remember those employees that are working there, and if the opportunity presents itself to you, you can certainly avail yourself to the opportunity of going to any of our local establishments. So we are currently communicating with all of our businesses in town to let them know exactly what that disaster declaration that was signed by the mayor means to them. It opens up the opportunity for them to gain small business loans and any grants from DCEO through the state of Illinois that may be available. So the disaster declaration has a number of different benefits to our business community, and that really is right now where the disaster lies. So again, please check our website, www.glendaleheights.org, our social media channels at VOGH News, and that will have the most up-to-date information, and we'll be providing links to get to the CDC websites, the Department of Public Health's website, and the DuPage County Public Health Department website, and always www.cdc.gov for the Centers of Disease Control, which has the most up-to-date information for response to the coronavirus. As we receive more information from the governor's office, and he has a press conference every day at 2:30, and the mayor and I are sitting there in rapt attention listening to him, we will continue to update the board. We'll continue to update the community as more information becomes available and as our response changes and decisions are made and how we will continue to operate the village. Are there any questions?
Mike, if I could add one thing.
Yes.
I just had an email come across from one of the main bulletins we get every minute right now. And the Illinois Poison Control Center has set up a COVID-19 hotline. So that hotline number for DuPage residents, and it's manned 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., is 630-221-7030. 630-221-7030.
Okay, thank you. There's so much information that comes across in our inboxes right now, it's almost impossible to keep up with all of it. So thank you, Doug, for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you.
If residents have any other questions regarding what the villages do regarding this pandemic operation we're going through, please call the village. We'd be happy to tell you exactly what's going on. Too many times somebody starts with one statement that's not always correct, and everybody eats on that, and they go, how can we find out about this? Anybody out there can call the village anytime, and we will give you the correct information, and would really appreciate it if people that want to know would please let us know. And if you've got ideas about anything you think the village needs to do, please share them with us. None of us have ever been through anything like this before. And like Mike said, everything changes. I mean, you can put out the information you get at 12:30 in the afternoon, and by 2:30 it's outdated. So just be aware that we are keeping your best interest, the best interest of our residents, the village, in our minds at all times, and any calls that we do make are on behalf of our residents. And I just hope and pray that everybody makes it through all this without any heartbreak in their lives or families, and pray for those that have not been that fortunate so far. Okay. Now I will move on. I need to call for a public hearing on April 2nd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. by the Mayor and Board of Trustees for the purpose of receiving oral and written comments from the public concerning the annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2020 and ending April 30th, 2021. So if you would please mark your calendars. We have two proclamations tonight, the first one being to proclaim the month of March as Poison Prevention Month, and the other to proclaim March 28th, 2020 as Earth Hour. So if there are no objections, I will sign the proclamations.
Go for it.
No objection.
No
Thank you.
objections here.
Thank you. Number 5, we need to remove. We are fortunate enough to have a new police officer, but we want to be able to introduce him when it's safe for his parents and family and everybody to be here. So that will happen at a future meeting. Also, I usually do the State of the Village at this time in our meeting, but because we don't want people out any longer than they have to be, I encourage all of you to review the 2019 State of the Village address available on our social media channels and Glendale Heights TV. For those of you at home, please enjoy the 2019 State of the Village address. It is my pleasure to present the State of the Village report for 2019. I would like to begin by recognizing my fellow village board members. Marie Schmidt, Village Clerk, Sharon Sullivan, Deputy Mayor and District 2 Trustee, Bill Schmidt, District 1 Trustee, Michael Light, District 3 Trustee, Pat Meritato, District 4 Trustee, Chester Pojak, District 5 Trustee, and Mary Schroeder, District 6 Trustee. We closed 2019 having accomplished many of the goals we set as we celebrated the Village of Glendale Heights' 60th anniversary. This was an important year as we remembered and reflected upon how far we have come as a village. Even more importantly, we look forward to 2020 and the years to come. Each and every day we continue to grow as a community, and we stand true to being a proud and progressive village for all people. The Finance and Administrative Services departments were combined in 2019 and now function as one single department. The Finance Department responsibilities now include maintenance of the financial records of the village, safeguarding of village assets, billing for water and sewer services, and the management of the village's purchasing functions. The value of village assets increased in 2019 from $166 million to $169 million, and total revenues grew from $51 million in fiscal year 2018 to $53 million in fiscal year 2019. For the third year in a row, the village did not seek an increase in the property tax levy, keeping a promise from the Board of Trustees and me to protect the public's pocketbook. Overall, the village's share of property taxes amounts to less than 11% of the total property tax burden and includes the Village Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Department, which is typically taxed separately in most other municipalities. This past September, the village put in place a new local motor fuel tax of 2 cents per gallon. The additional revenues expected from the tax will be pledged toward the much-needed road and stormwater management infrastructure projects throughout the village. The village depends on major revenues, such as sales tax, to support the level of service expected by residents and businesses within the village. Sales tax alone makes up 31% of the village's total general fund revenue budget. Thanks to the continued efforts to encourage economic development as a primary objective, sales tax revenues have grown by nearly 25% since fiscal year 2015. For the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2019, the village's general fund finished the year with a surplus of almost $2.8 million before taking into account other financing sources and uses. The surplus was more than triple the amount that was contemplated in the budget. This was achieved by a combination of stronger than anticipated sales and income tax revenue, along with a proactive approach to spending. The village established an amendment to the police pension funding policy that will allow supplemental contributions over those which are determined actuarially into the fund. This is designed to accelerate the task of improving the funding level and improving the overall health of the fund, with the ultimate goal of relieving property tax pressure as it pertains to pension. Strategic planning for infrastructure improvement is always a significant challenge in preparing the village's annual budget. A plan was needed to prepare for funding major water and sewer projects over the next 5 years, to include meeting EPA requirements for removing phosphorus from wastewater, improving the water delivery system, and refurbishing aging sewer lift stations. After months of work, a 5-year rate plan was approved in May 2019. The rate plan called for gradual increases over its term and keeps the village water rates comparable to surrounding communities. Equally important, it generates new funds, which will be specifically earmarked for much-needed infrastructure projects. The Water Billing Division issued water bills for over 750.4 million gallons of water in calendar year 2019. This represents a reduction in consumption from the previous year of just over 9 million gallons. The village bills only for the water used to the lowest 1,000 gallons. For example, if your meter reported water use of 2,975 gallons for a particular month, your bill for that month would be for 2,000 gallons of usage, with 975 gallons being charged in the following month, once an additional 25 gallons is used. The village has a convenient paperless billing option, which allows for online and automatic payments. To take advantage of these features, please visit the village website and click on Pay Water Bill. The village began an ambitious project in 2019 to replace every water meter and water meter reading device in the village. The current residential meters are over 20 years old, and commercial meters, in some cases, are over 40 years old. Additionally, the reading devices are no longer being serviced or manufactured. Many of these devices have begun to fail, resulting in the need to issue estimated bills. The village contracted with Water Resources Incorporated to undertake this $3.2 million project. Work began this past November and is expected to continue into late summer 2020. This is the first project to be undertaken from the earlier noted infrastructure improvement plan. For more information and to determine when we will be in your area replacing water meters, please visit www.glendaleheights.org/watermeter. The Purchasing Division is responsible for the overall procurement processes for commodities and projects required to provide village services. The purchasing agent ensures that quality products and services are purchased through a series of competitive means to ensure the best price and value. The Purchasing Division managed a total of 74 bids in calendar year 2019. Sealed bids are utilized for higher-priced items such as professional services, commodities, leases, vehicle purchases, and construction projects. The Licensing Division is responsible for processing village vehicle licenses, real estate transfer stamps, pet licensing, garage sale permits, and providing services to the public at our main counter, such as voter registration and notary services. There were a total of 20,630 village vehicle stickers processed during calendar year 2019. In a manner similar to refinancing a home mortgage when borrowing rates decline, the village took advantage of the low interest rate environment that existed during this past summer and a strong AA3 credit rating as assigned by Moody's Investor Services. We refunded 3 different outstanding bond issues in order to lock in lower rates without extending the repayment term of the existing issues. Taking this action allowed the village to realize nearly $200,000 of interest savings each year over the next 16 years for a total of $3.2 million in savings. In addition to the current refunding of the 3 existing bond issues, the village issued $2.5 million in new funds, which went towards the water meter and meter reading device replacement project and will be repaid through utility system revenues. On February 11, 2019, the village was recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, with a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for its fiscal year 2018-2019 budget document. This marks the 6th consecutive year in which the village has received this recognition. On March 27, 2019, the GFOA awarded the village with the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for its 2018 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR. This is the 36th consecutive year in which the village has received this award. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting. Both the budget and CAFR documents can be found on the village's website. Our police department employs a combined staff of 93 personnel, including 54 sworn police officers, 5 part-time officers, 4 community service officers, records clerks, crossing guards, a community outreach specialist, and an evidence officer. The department also enjoys a strong volunteer pool of 18 individuals who are members of the Emergency Services and Disaster Agency, ESDA. I am very proud of the Glendale Heights Police Department for maintaining the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, CALEA, accreditation. The police department earned their first accreditation in 2008 and was most recently re-accredited for the 3rd time in 2017. Our police department is one of only approximately 800 law enforcement agencies throughout the country who have earned CALEA accreditation status. CALEA standards are rigorous and ensure the department is following best practices in law enforcement. Part of the CALEA standards require the police department to review each incident in which force is used, ensuring that our officers are using the appropriate response for the situation and within legal parameters. CALEA standards also ensure that citizen complaints are investigated thoroughly and in a timely manner. The police department is dedicated to its mission in working with the community to continue building relationships and trust. In 2019, the police department helped organize and participated in many events for all ages to continue to build relationships throughout the community. For over 25 years, the police department has held week-long classes at Safety Town for children 5 to 7 years of age. The classes are held over the summer and taught by officers from the police department, as well as representatives from other community organizations. For children in 5th through 8th grade, the police department hosted the 12th Annual Junior Police Academy. Participants experience various aspects of police work, from the initial testing process to evidence processing, traffic stops, and officer safety skills. Our state-certified school resource officers spent the school year teaching drug abuse resistance education, DARE, to 5th grade students and addressing school-related concerns. In 2019, the police department worked with both elementary school districts to have one certified officer rotate between all schools. At the start of 2020, the village, police department, and school districts 15 and 16 have entered into an agreement to have one certified school resource officer assigned to each district. This will ensure a full-time police presence in each district. The police department also has an agreement with Glenbard High School District 87. One Glendale Heights Police Department officer rotates daily between Glenbard East, West, and North. The high school liaison officer provides security to the schools, investigates police-related incidents in the schools, and assists with extracurricular activities. The police department also strives to keep our residents informed of important crime prevention tips by sponsoring neighborhood watch meetings and providing a monthly newsletter. In 2019, the police department continued to rotate the monthly neighborhood watch meetings at various venues throughout Glendale Heights. This has allowed the police department to communicate more intimately with residents and learn about concerns affecting specific neighborhoods. The police department continued to provide training to local businesses and places of worship on active violence awareness. This training provides employees and citizens options if a violent event occurs within their vicinity. Many of our officers did a number of fundraising initiatives, including the Polar Plunge, Cop on Top at our local Dunkin' Donuts, and No Shave November. All of the money raised from these programs was donated to the Illinois Special Olympics. The police department sponsored the village's 21st annual National Night Out in August of 2019. The event was held on the Village of Glendale Heights Civic Center campus, and residents were offered free food and games. National Night Out is held to raise crime and drug prevention awareness and strengthen our police and community partnerships. We want to thank the many other community groups who help make the event a huge success each year. The police department also sponsored a new event this past year, Movie with a Cop, held in July and August. Based on the turnout and public feedback, the police department will make this an annual event. The police department and its Emergency Services and Disaster Agency, ESDA, continually conducts intruder drills with all schools in the village. The village also renewed an agreement with Milton Township Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, to help train new Glendale Heights CERT members and provide ongoing training for current members. Joining forces with Milton Township CERT allows the village to tap into their extensive volunteer pool of over 1,000 CERT members in the event of an emergency. The police department and ESDA brought governmental agencies that serve the village of Glendale Heights together for an emergency preparedness conference this past year. The conference was held in village facilities and provided instruction from a number of experts in the emergency preparedness field. The conference provided the opportunity for agencies that serve the village residents to collaborate in a controlled environment to facilitate a better response for our community in the event of a large-scale emergency. The Glendale Heights Police Department maintains transparency by sharing crime statistics with residents. In March of each year, the police department publishes an annual report available on the village website. This report will provide residents with a detailed breakdown of previous year's crime statistics. The Community Development Department focuses on maintaining and improving property values within the village by encouraging economic development, issuing business licenses, performing construction oversight, licensing rental property, inspecting property when sold, and monitoring property maintenance. Additionally, it also monitors existing property in the village to help protect and improve property values, as well as the safety of its residents. Economic development continues to be one of our highest priorities. Increased economic development improves property values, increases the tax base through property tax and sales tax, and lessens the tax burden on all property owners, as well as gives area residents more opportunities to shop and eat locally. Staff encourages new businesses to locate in the village and addresses concerns from existing business to retain them within the village. We welcomed a variety of businesses to Glendale Heights in 2019. Thank you to the following businesses for choosing to call Glendale Heights your home: Air Real Estate, All American Paper Company, Amor and Servicio Group, Bright Lights Theater, Burger King number 25936, C&L Ward, Center for Inner Studies, LLC DBA Prana Studies, Constellation Services, DP Tech Group, Fab Supply Incorporated, Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, Javier Hairstylist Unisex, Catherine Frank Creative Incorporated, Canage Incorporated, DBA Fahrenheit 786, M&R Machine and Tool Incorporated, Maze Lounge, Metro by T-Mobile, Nick Haynes Insurance and Financial Services Incorporated, Pozzolaria Amagudas Incorporated, Sun Tint USA, The Carey Company, The Detail House, TMF Buying Service Incorporated, DBA Trusted Auto Brokers, and Worry Free Insurance Incorporated, DBA Allstate. Significant economic development activity occurred throughout the village in 2019, and particularly along the North Avenue corridor. Coda Resources leased the entire 180,000 square foot building at 990 East North Avenue, just west of Swift Road. ML Realty received Village Board approval to remove several dilapidated structures and construct a 116,000 square foot flex space building at 760 East North Avenue. Construction is scheduled to begin in the spring of 2020. Venture One received Village Board approval to construct a 150,000 square foot building at 1 East North Avenue. They have demolished the vacant and decrepit buildings on the property in anticipation of beginning construction in the spring of 2020. Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers constructed a new restaurant on a vacant lot at Glen Ellen Road and North Avenue, which opened in the fall. A new Jeep dealership opened at 435 East North Avenue, giving the public the opportunity to shop for cars at Jeep, Dodge, Chevy, and Nissan, all in Glendale Heights. Burger King constructed a new restaurant at North Avenue and Bloomingdale Road, which opened in the fall, while Popeyes is still under construction immediately to the west and will open soon. In addition to the development occurring along North Avenue, the village continues to see new businesses moving into our existing shopping centers and industrial parks. Although Nestle announced that they were closing their facility in Glendale Heights, KeHE Distribution immediately occupied the facility and there was no shutdown, showing that Glendale Heights is a desirable location for businesses. As part of the review of new developments, the Community Development Department posts notices on the village website, prepares staff reports, and schedules public hearings before the Plan Commission so the public may comment on development proposals before the Village Board makes the final decision. The Plan Commission considered 25 development proposals in 2019. The Community Development Department reviews and issues new business applications and coordinates the reviews with the Fire District, Police Department, and Public Works Department. The Community Development Department also processed business license renewals for the 554 businesses and 60 home occupations within the village in 2019. In 2019, the Community Development Department received 3,091 building permit applications for industrial, commercial, and residential construction. Staff reviews the permit applications and conducts inspections to verify that the work performed complies with national code standards and ensures safe structures. The Community Development Department also issued 35 permits to utility companies to conduct work in the public right-of-way. The village issued licenses to 1,556 single-family home rental properties and 3,770 multifamily units in 2019. Staff works with property owners and tenants to ensure that the rental units are properly maintained through the licensing and inspection process, as well as the Crime Prevention Partnership Program. Through this program, the village provides information to property owners and tenants about their rights and obligations to comply with the law. This program is important to deter crime and help protect property values in the community. Community Development Department staff also works with the residents, developers, and contractors to provide information and assist with zoning, building, and flooding questions. The department responded to approximately 239 Freedom of Information Act requests in 2019. It also provided zoning verification letters and floodplain information to property owners upon request. Staff assists residents with flooding problems and minimizing floodplain insurance requirements. In August of 2019, after many years of effort, the village was successful in convincing FEMA to modify the floodplain maps for the village of Glendale Heights. The new maps reduced the number of homes in the village that are within a floodplain and substantially reduced or eliminated the need for homeowners to obtain floodplain insurance in these areas. Staff responds to service requests from residents as well as identifies property that is not properly maintained and contacts owners to request that violations be addressed. Although a majority of property owners address violations, if not addressed, staff issues citations to require that property be properly maintained. Staff also works with management companies and homeowners associations to ensure that common areas and buildings are also maintained. In 2019, local road infrastructure was improved throughout the village as part of the in-house road program, overlaying Goodrich Avenue, Chadwick Lane, Towner Court, and Easy Court. The project involved the removal and replacement of deteriorated and structurally damaged curbs and sidewalks, along with base repairs to the roadway before the new asphalt surface layer was applied. The in-house road program undertook the repaving of over 3,080 square yards of surface roadway and the replacement of 200 linear feet of curb and 1,100 square feet of sidewalk. The sidewalk removal and replacement project was undertaken on approximately 5 streets in the village. The purpose of the project was to replace structurally damaged and hazardous sidewalks. Another aspect of the project was to preserve the mature parkway trees. This involved elevating the replaced sidewalks over the root system of the trees to prevent heaving of the replacement sidewalks rather than removing the tree itself. Parking lot improvements were undertaken at Ullman Park. A new storm sewer system was installed to convey water from the parking lot. Crews installed 4 storm sewer structures and 200 feet of pipe. Additionally, the crews replaced over 100 feet of curb that was necessary to correct drainage issues. Streets Division staff responded to 28 snow and ice events throughout last year's winter season, plowing and de-icing 76 center lane miles of roadway and 147 courts during each event. The Street Division also responded to 44 separate flood control events, including clearing of storm inlets and streams to alleviate standing water on roadways. Additionally, the division responded to 375 work orders in 2019 and completed over 2,700 Julie locates for buried utility services. The Engineering Division ensures the village upholds all local, state, and federal mandates, including stormwater management compliance and erosion control inspections on active construction sites. In 2019, the division reviewed over 170 permit applications, including engineering drawings and stormwater reports. The division provided contract supervision and construction observation for large road projects. One such project was the 2019 MFT road program, which included the reconstruction of 8 streets at a total cost of approximately $2 million. This project involved road reconstruction with curb and sidewalk repair, as well as drainage improvements. As part of the project, Charles Drive had the sidewalk relocated away from the curb to create a grass parkway between the curb and the sidewalk, improving safety for pedestrians. Another important road project was the $660,000 Gregory Avenue reconstruction project. This project reconstructed Gregory Avenue from Glen Ellen Road to the intersection with Somerset Drive. This construction also included storm sewer improvements and curb and sidewalk improvements. This road project was paid for in part by a $350,000 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, administered by DuPage County. The village also undertook an $800,000 regional stormwater detention and flood control project by adding underground stormwater detention to the Glendale Square shopping mall on North Avenue. Large corrugated metal pipes were placed underground in order to temporarily store large volumes of stormwater runoff. This project helps reduce flood elevations to residences surrounding the James Court Pond and businesses at the mall, as well as in creeks downstream of the project. This project was paid for in part by a $340,000 CDBG grant administered by DuPage County. A third CDBG project for the year was the $875,000 East Branch Tributary 2 Channel Maintenance Project. The village's contractor dredged a section of the creek that was causing drainage problems in the creek. The improvements included stream bank stabilization, dredging, vegetation management of invasive species, and the planting of new trees and shrubs. This project will improve drainage in the surrounding area, as well as removing obstructions from drainage areas. The village can receive up to $400,000 in grant money reimbursement for this project. In July, the village undertook a project to reline the culverts under Fullerton Avenue near Ardmore Avenue. These culverts discharge into the creek at Ruskin Park. The existing culverts were failing corrugated metal pipes, rusting in places with large holes in the pipe wall and bottom. An inflatable bladder was inserted into the culverts to line them with a tough and durable resin to the shape of the original culverts. This made the culverts long-lasting and stronger without the disruption and expense of excavating and removing the existing pipes. Silt buildup was removed from the pipe outlet area for better flow, and erosion control in the stream was restored. The village's water pollution control facility, WPCF, processed over 1 billion gallons of wastewater this year within Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, IEPA guidelines and regulations. The facility was found to be in good working order and no deficiencies were noted during its annual IEPA inspection. The facility also rehabilitated the second of its 2 influent fine screens. The screens are the first part of the process that removes large debris that could damage the pumps and other equipment if left in the wastewater stream. The WPCF entered into an agreement with Trotter and Associates for engineering services to rehabilitate both of the village's aerobic digesters. The digesters are a vital part of the operation at the WPCF and must be upgraded to accommodate upcoming phosphorus removal mandates set by the EPA. Through its membership in the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group, DRSCW, the village is contributing to improving local stream water quality while saving wastewater utility payers money. Under the innovative partnership, the village is working with 17 other communities to fund a series of waterway improvement projects throughout DuPage County as a cost-effective solution in lieu of wastewater infrastructure upgrades. The Fleets Division has made changes to its heavy truck purchases and over the last few years are now purchasing Peterbilt trucks with stainless steel salt spreaders and dump bodies. These upgrades will allow for a longer life expectancy and lower cost of overall ownership on these large trucks. The division services and repairs over 350 vehicles and pieces of equipment belonging to the village. In-house repairs and maintenance allow for a quick turnaround and lower costs. The village's water infrastructure was improved in 2019 through the rehabilitation of the West Burdett water storage tank. This is a 1 million gallon water storage tank which services customers west of Bloomingdale Road. Work included sandblasting the exterior and interior, repainting and installing 2 mixing systems to improve water quality. This is the 4th water tower that has been rehabilitated by Utility Services Group since 2014. Utilities Division staff perform maintenance to the public water infrastructure system by responding to 47 water main breaks, 30 fire hydrant replacements or repairs, 96 water service repairs, 16 mainline valve repairs, pump station maintenance, and Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, IEPA, mandated sampling. I am pleased to report that all IEPA sampling undertaken in 2019 resulted in no violations or water quality issues. In-house projects and maintenance to the water system continued with the painting of 462 fire hydrants. A water leak detection survey was undertaken in the spring by Water Services Incorporated. The survey identified 13 leaks, 7 of which were fire hydrant leaks, and the remaining 6 were water main valve and service issues. Utilities Division staff repaired all leaks found within the system. Preventative maintenance to the village's sanitary sewer collection system also continued. Jetting of approximately 57 miles of public sewer mains was achieved. In addition, annual root cutting and degreasing programs were undertaken. Improvements to the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System, SCADA, which manages both the village's water and sewer systems, were also undertaken by Concentric Integration, LLC. This included improvements and upgrades to the hardware and software. These changes will allow for improved efficiency when identifying problems within the infrastructure, including allowing more flexibility in viewing alarm issues remotely when in the field. Glendale Lakes Golf Club generated just under 20,000 rounds of golf in 2019. Glendale Lakes Golf Club continues to be the home golf course to 5 area high school golf teams. The golf teams that use Glendale Lakes as their home golf course are Glenbard North boys and girls teams, Glenbard East boys and girls teams, and the Glenbard West girls team. In 2019, we hosted the Illinois High School Association, IHSA, Regional Girls Golf Tournament with 60 high school golfers. Glendale Lakes Golf Club hosted several annual golf events and outings. These included our Spring Fling in April, the Charity Golf Classic in June, and the Turkey Shoot in November. These annual events are very popular and sell out quickly each year. We also held approximately 85 other private golf outings hosted by other community groups and local businesses. The Charity Golf Classic is a fundraiser hosted by the Village of Glendale Heights. The golf outing raises money for Make-A-Wish, Illinois, FOP Lodge No. 52 Community Enrichment Fund, and the Glendale Heights Chamber of Commerce Scholarship Fund. In 2019, we raised $23,000 combined for all three charities. All funds raised benefit the residents and families of Glendale Heights. The bunker renovations continued this year. We completed all of the bunker renovations on hole number 16 by removing the right side existing bunkers and adding a pot-style bunker on the right side. We will continue to renovate a few bunkers each year, making the golf course more playable and will help save costs on materials and labor. We added more sets of silver tee markers on some of the more difficult holes to help make the golf course easier to play for the recreational golfers who are looking for a more relaxed round of golf. In 2019, several portions of the golf cart path were overlaid with new asphalt. The original portion of the golf maintenance building roof was replaced, and a new pump house and irrigation pumps were purchased and installed. Our banquet facility hosted 334 banquets and special events this year. Of these events, 31 were wedding receptions and 9 were quinceaneras. Glendale Lakes Golf Club has beautiful banquet rooms that overlook the golf course and can accommodate up to 230 guests. We can host other banquets including baby and bridal showers, birthday parties, anniversary parties, corporate meetings, and events. Glendale Lakes is open during the first Friday and last Friday of the Lent season for an all-you-can-eat fish fry. Join us on either of these Friday nights from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. If you are not a fish fan, our menu has a variety of other options to appeal to your tastes. Glendale Lakes Golf Club hosts an annual Easter brunch, which served close to 500 people in 2019, and a Mother's Day brunch with over 325 attendees. Join us for these events for an easy way to spend the holidays and leave the cooking and cleaning to us. The Center for Senior Citizens offers comprehensive senior citizen resources, innovative programming, information sessions, social events, and exciting trips. The center's membership is just under 2,000 members and growing each day. Our annual survey asks our members for input on our programs. The surveys gave staff and volunteers ideas for different programs and activities that staff will be implementing in 2020. The center's partnership with the AARP Tax Assistant Program continued in 2019. Assistance is now available by appointment 2 days a week. In 2019, 250 community members received tax assistance, which was 127 more than in 2018. In 2019, the center collaborated with the Family and Faith Food Pantry in order to make sure our members have proper transportation to the pantry. We extended the hours for our bus service to coincide with the hours of the Family and Faith Food Pantry. The Center for Senior Citizens also worked with Glenbard West High School's English as a Second Language, ESL, students through a new Pen Pal program. This program was beneficial for both our seniors and the students to connect with each other. Due to the popular demand, the Golden Shears Salon is now open 4 days a week. We saw a customer growth of over 50% from 2018. The Golden Shears Salon has a variety of services for both men and women. As part of our congregate dining, we provide lunch and learn programs. The center holds informational sessions on important social service topics that keep our seniors educated on healthy lifestyles and promote senior safety. In 2019, community partners helped the center provide 75 lunch and learn programs. The Agency on Aging Nutrition Grant from the DuPage Senior Citizens Council provided 3,204 meals for congregate dining and 12,294 home-delivered meals. The center has a beautiful community room that is available for rent to the community. We hosted 142 birthday parties, showers, weddings, and anniversary events in 2019. Please contact the Center for Senior Citizens if you're interested in holding your special event in our community room. Volunteerism is an important part of our center. In 2019, 47 individuals volunteered 2,239 hours to benefit the center. These volunteer members and their donation of time are very important to the growth of the center. In fact, they are so important that the Center for Senior Citizens was awarded the Governor's Hometown Award for volunteerism in November of 2019. I am very proud of the hard work the Center for Senior Citizens has done to grow our volunteer program. The Parks Division is responsible for maintaining over 254 acres of parkland and more than 20 sports fields and playgrounds. They are also responsible for approximately 6,000 park and parkway trees. In 2019, the Parks Division worked with the Public Works Streets Division to complete asphalt resurfacing of the parking lots at Nazos, Circle, Ullman, and College Parks. Additionally, over 100 new trees were planted in the parkways and parks. The Village of Glendale Heights also received the Tree City Award for the 22nd consecutive year. One of the biggest projects this year was the planning of improvements to Camera Park. Several community meetings were held throughout the year to hear the needs of our residents. After compiling ideas and suggestions, a master plan was created, and we hope to see many of these plans come to life soon. To assist with the funding of this project, the village applied for and received an Open Space Lands Acquisition and Development (OSLAD) grant from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for $400,000. The Facilities Division is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of all village facilities. They have been instrumental in renovating current buildings and work diligently to provide the residents with clean and updated facilities. In 2019, the Facilities Division worked on many projects, including installation of variable frequency drives, VFD, on pool pumps at the Aquatic Center, with more to be added this year. Roof replacements were completed at the Public Works facility and the golf course maintenance garage as part of a larger plan to service the roofs on all village facilities over the next several years. If you did not stop by the village complex this past winter, you missed out on the change in decorating as Christmas lights were updated to LED lights in the village's continued quest to become more energy efficient. For the second year, the Recreation Division increased offerings by nearly 60 programs and trips as we continue to offer new and exciting programs for the residents of Glendale Heights. A few of these new programs included the Play at the Hub, PATH program, which added a before-school component, and 16-inch softball returned to Glendale Heights last summer as teams played weekly at Camera Park. If you have an idea for a program or class that you would like to see offered at the Sports Hub, please stop in and speak with one of our recreation supervisors. If you have not been to the Sports Hub or taken part in our programs or events, please join us at our showcase events. We currently host events 2 times a year that showcase what the Sports Hub has to offer. The first event was Rec in the Hub on February 8th, and the second event is Hubapalooza on May 16th. We are adding a third event, which will be held later in 2020. We hope to see you all at our many community events and programs scheduled throughout the year. Visit our website or grab our most recent program guide at the Sports Hub. I look forward to a very important year in 2020 as we all must do our civic duty and be counted in the upcoming decennial census. A complete and accurate count is critical for you and Glendale Heights because the results of the 2020 census will affect community funding for hospitals, fire departments, schools, roads, congressional representation, and other resources. I also encourage all of you to get involved, volunteer, register for a fun program at the Sports Hub, say hello and wave at our many staff who are outside working hard every day, and say thank you to our police officers who have sworn to protect us. Thank you for believing in us to serve the residents of Glendale Heights. Please do not hesitate to contact me, your district trustee, or any of our qualified staff with any comments, questions, or suggestions. On behalf of the entire village board, we promise to continue to work hard in 2020 and in the many years ahead, and to always keep your best interests at the forefront of every decision that is made towards the betterment of our home, Glendale Heights. We are now back to public discussion of agenda items. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to address this board on an agenda item, please step forward. Being none, you have the consent agenda before you. What is your pleasure? Trustee Meritato?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote.
Trustee Sullivan,
Yes.
Trustee Light,
Yes.
Trustee Meritato,
Yes.
Trustee Pojek,
Yes.
and Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
The consent agenda is approved. There is no old business, new business. Number 1 is a motion to waive first reading on new business items 2 through 5. A motion would, Trustee Light.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Second.
Aye.
All right.
I'll
Opposed?
second it.
Okay, first reading is waived on items 2 through 5. Number 2 is an ordinance to amend a previously approved planned unit development known as Highgrove West for the property located at 125 through 145 West Army Trail Road in the village of Glendale Heights, Illinois. That's first reading has been waived, so this would be ordinance number 2020-12. Trustee-
So moved, Mayor.
Sharon.
Okay, Sharon, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Second.
Second.
Too late.
You can't see my hand lift. Great.
I know I can't see your hand. Okay, first, is there any discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Light,
Yes.
Trustee Meritato,
Yes.
Trustee Pojek,
Oh, yes.
Trustee Schmidt,
Yes.
and Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-12 is approved. Number 3, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of notices of award and authorizing the execution of contracts for roof replacements at the Sports Hub Fieldhouse, Golf Course Clubhouse, and Historic House, and rejecting all bids for the roof replacement at the Civic Center in the village of Glendale Heights, Illinois. First reading has been waived, so this would be ordinance number 2020-13.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Trustee Light.
I just have one question. The warranty-wise on this, who would handle this? Keith? That's you, Scott. You got excited, didn't you? Just warranty-wise, well, I was curious how long they stood behind as far as, sorry, making you run for a microphone. Again.
I just know we asked for a standard warranty. I have to look up and give you the exact number. I don't have that right on me right this second.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Mayor, what's the
Oh.
what's the standard warranty?
I don't know off the top
10
of my
years?
head right this second. I believe that it was, I thought it was 30 years, but I could have that wrong. It's different on each roof because it's a different type.
Okay, thank you.
So I will get that information to you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Meritato,
Yes.
Trustee Pojek,
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt,
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan,
Yes.
and Trustee Light.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-13 is approved. Number 4, an ordinance establishing temporary executive powers pursuant to 65 ILCS 5/11-1-6. First reading has been waived. This would be ordinance number 2020-14. Trustee Light.
Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Trustee,
What are the executive powers consisting of? Anybody has that answer?
sure. It's everything that's in our emergency operations plan that we have gone through before. It allows me to allow staff to purchase emergency, if it be face masks, emergency equipment for the police department, so they're safer.
I'm sorry, Mayor. It authorizes the mayor to allow us to make purchases without board authority until the next board meeting, essentially.
All right, thank you.
It allows us also to adjust some schedules and have some more flexibility with employees in case of
As needed.
loss of workers and that kind of stuff.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Chief.
It also allows the mayor to issue certain executive orders to make it possible for us to respond properly to the emergency.
He just did.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Pojek.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Trustee Light.
Yes.
And Trustee Meritato.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-14 is approved. Number 5 is an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement for the Glendale Heights Fest 2020 fireworks displays by and between Wolverine Fireworks Display Incorporated and the Village of Glendale Heights. This is first reading that has been waived. This would be ordinance number 2020-15.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Trustee Meritato.
What happens if we don't have Summerfest?
That's written in the contract.
Is that written in
God
contract?
forbid this situation is still in existence and we cannot have gatherings and stuff. Summerfest will be canceled. And the fireworks, it is in the contract that if we cannot have the fest because of this, that there is no charge.
Trustee Meritato, we added a force majeure clause. So because of an act of God, pandemic, epidemic, we have the right to terminate the agreement.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll be using that same clause in other contracts that we write pertaining to Summerfest. Excuse me, Glendale Heights Fest. I don't want Milwaukee coming to get me.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Trustee Light.
Yes.
Trustee Meritato.
Yes.
And Trustee Pojek.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-15 is approved. Number 6 is an ordinance reserving and authorizing the transfer of volume cap in connection with private activity bond issues and related matters. That is first reading. Number 7 is an ordinance approving and implementing an operations manual policy system for the Village of Glendale Heights. That is first reading. Number 8 is a resolution to approve and adopt the 2020 zoning map for the Village of Glendale Heights, Illinois. This is resolution number 2020-R-16. Trustee Light.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Trustee Light.
Yes.
Trustee Meritato.
Yes.
Trustee Pojek.
Yes.
And Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
And then, Mayor, I'll take number 9.
What?
I'll take the next item.
You'll take the
Number 9.
next. Yeah.
Number,
Well, she's going to read
Wait
it.
a minute, I
Okay.
have to say, Resolution 2020-R-16 is approved.
jump the gun, sorry, Mayor.
Number 9.
Number 9 is a resolution to approve and authorize the execution of an employment separation and release agreement, which involves our employee Raquel Becerra. So with that, if there is a motion,
And this is be Resolution 2020-R-17. Trustee Light.
So moved?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Light,
Yes.
Trustee Meritato,
Yes.
Trustee Pojek,
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt,
Yes.
and Trustee Sullivan.
Yes.
Resolution 2020-R-17 is approved. We now go back to public discussion of agenda items. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to address this board on an agenda item, please step forward. Being none, we do not have another executive session, so a motion would be in order to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This regular village board meeting is adjourned, and committee of the whole goes to Chester.
Welcome to the Glendale Heights Committee of the Whole meeting for Thursday, March 19, 2020. Is there any additions or deletions? Anybody from the public want to make a comment? Being none, first item on the committee recommendations. 1, Plan Commission, a recommendation to approve an application for an annual entertainment permit to provide live entertainment Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturdays from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., and Sundays from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the form of a 1 or 2-piece musicians, karaoke, bingo, and trivia located at 2260 Bloomingdale Road, Prontos. All permits in entertainment shall take place indoors. Mayor?
Move it to the board with a recommendation to concur.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recommendation is, okay. Number 2, Plan Commission. A recommendation to approve an amendment to previously approved Plaza Westlake Planned Unit Development to allow 1.9 square feet of wall signage per linear foot of building frontage, allow 2 total wall signs, and allow 1 wall sign not facing a public street for O'Reilly Auto Parts located at 2160 Bloomingdale Road.
Chester,
Yes.
move it to the board with a recommendation to concur.
Second.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any discussion? No discussion?
No, we're good.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Plan Commission, a recommendation to approve a plat of re-subdivision to consolidate 7 separate parcels of land into one, a plat of easement abrogation, and a conditional use for the construction of a new 1,080 square foot detached garage, and to include the existing 2,681 square foot rectory building located at 219 Armitage Avenue, Queen of Mary. Mayor.
Move it to the board with a recommendation to concur.
Discussion.
Second.
well, we have a second first.
Oh, Second.
Bill? Okay, thank you.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Plan Commission, a recommendation to approve various text amendments to the zoning ordinance.
Move it to the board with a recommendation to concur. Guys are
Second.
paying attention to me.
Second.
Second.
I gotcha.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now, this is discussion regarding Glenside Middle School traffic by Dr. Joseph Williams, Superintendent, Queen Bee, District 16. Please state your name and address.
Good evening, Trustee Pojek. I am Dr. Joseph Williams. I'm the Superintendent of Queen Bee 16. Good evening, Mayor Jackson and members of the board. It's an honor to have the opportunity to speak to you this evening and present on this topic that we've been working on. But before I get to the presentation and also to explanation, hopefully to your satisfaction and an ask, I want to extend a thank you. And it's not just in times of crisis. As a representative of our board and our school community, we are delighted with the quality of services that we receive. When our parents have little bus fender benders with our buses full of children, when we are walking to school, as we interact in the DARE program, really the addition of the school resource officer through the recent adjustment of our reporting agreement. We're delighted by the services and the quality that we receive in partnership with the village, and also too looking to you for leadership as we go through the COVID-19. Queen Bee, faculty, administration, and board are here to help and be part of the solution that you spoke of earlier this evening. So thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for what you do for the village each day. Nicole, you'll help me with this, or oh, I'm on my own. Okay. So thanks, Nicole.
On your own. No.
Okay. So I'm here to talk about a plan we call Queen Bee 2020, and speaking really only about Glenside's change in potential traffic pattern really wouldn't do the plan justice. So I wanted to take a moment to update you on what our school district has been up to over the past 5 years briefly, and more importantly, our plan for the future that we've designed over the past 2.5 school years. So I tried. There we go. As you may have noticed, and the Daily Herald has noticed, about 5 years ago, we made a conscious decision to take a close look at the quality of our instruction program, which is what we do for a living. We teach children, and say, if this is good enough. Well, our decision was it wasn't, and so we started to redesign each of our programs, English language arts, STEM, math, social studies, you name it, redesigned from the ground up and rebuild in accordance with the change standards from the state and federal governments. And if you want to take a look, we're extremely proud to report, and we're happy that people are noticing that our students work extremely hard and our teachers are dedicated, and we have a smart plan. We have one of the highest growth rates and rates of improvement in the state of Illinois. And as I'll talk about later, initially we had to really kind of fight to get into this new designation called commendable, which is really meeting all of our requirements and nothing in the bottom 10%. It's a good place to be. I'm happy to report that this year was the first year that Glendale Heights had an elementary school that reached, or a middle school, that has earned the distinction of in the top 10%. Glenside Middle School last year was in the top 10% of all schools in rate of improvement statewide. And we have an amazing district, an amazing faculty, and I'm really just honored and fortunate to lead them each day. So if you haven't had a chance to read the daily article, I think they did us justice, and hopefully we spoke to the community and cast it in the light that it deserves. Let's see if this works. No, maybe? There we go. Our goal, as always, is high-quality schools. Each of our schools are rated commendable or better. Glenside, in this case, is distinguished by the Illinois State Board of Education. We also, too, lead the DuPage County. We have Project Lead the Way. It's a engineering and math program that starts. We start with our kindergartners, and I think I just approved extending this back to our preschool program that we're running at Queen Bee School. They've developed Project Lead the Way for 4-year-olds, so we're going to venture into new territory next year as that program is released. As I said, we've seen significant improvement in our students' test scores, and more importantly, they're more engaged now than ever before. We do have a comprehensive language development program, and when I say that, it's that we are blessed with the rich linguistic diversity that few communities have. That says 48. Last year we counted actually 49 foreign languages other than English in our schools each day, and more than 50% of our students tested proficient or better in English. They come from all over the world, and as I've heard the mayor say before, there's room for everybody here. We try to live that every day because there is room for every student, every family, and we're really excited by how dedicated they are to their schoolwork. Also, too, as I can say going forward, when they talk about a graduation crisis, our students commonly graduate at a 95% rate or higher. And for us, so you know, students go both ways. Half our students go to Glenbard North and half our students go to Glenbard West, and they receive an outstanding education at each one of those high schools. So here's the story. The story of Queen Bee is the story of Illinois. We're a microcosm in many ways. And in one way that we had to pay close attention to was our enrollment. Over the past 12 to 15 years, we've declined in our enrollment from our peak, which is about 2,300, to about 1,700, which is where we stand today. And that's commonly not 1,700 at any one given time because attendance is around 94 to 97%. So when we think in terms of how our schools operate, we had an efficiency challenge, which was 600 empty seats spread out the district on any given day. And so we're heating, we're cooling, we're lighting, we have desks, and you know there aren't as many children here. It doesn't make us unique. DuPage County has been pretty candid over the course of the past decade or so. There's been an out-migration from Illinois, and that's something that we're all kind of struggling with. That being said, we started to look at some of the efficiencies and opportunities, some of the needs we had, and some of the common challenges we face. Some of the common challenges we face is one thing that I get consistently is our cars and buses clog up our community at arrival and dismissal, and they create safety challenges. Cars hit each other. Sometimes cars hit people, unfortunately, in rare occasions, but it's awful when it happens. We've had car and child interaction, and that's just resulted in devastating consequences to every person involved. And just grateful to have the EMS response, and the one most recently, a year or two ago, where they made the very best out of an awful, potentially awful situation. That being said, so we clog up the community with our traffic patterns and also, too, the way that we're arrayed. The other one is we don't really have the ability to offer gym every day. We exercise where we eat, unfortunately. We have a cafeteria that does double duty, and that's in all of our elementary schools. That also limits our ability through scheduling because we're time bound. When we're eating lunch, we can't have PE in there. And as a result, several years ago, the district had made a decision to go away from everyday PE. And unfortunately, at this point, they're getting just about the state minimum, and that's not good enough for our kids. So when we're starting to look at some of the challenges we're facing with lower enrollment, a traffic pattern that clearly clogs it up, and a need to expand our facilities, which are great buildings, they're solid buildings, they're older buildings, but they're solid buildings. We started to look at what opportunities we may have. So also, too, we're unique in many ways in that years ago a decision was made to have a K through 3, a 4, 5, and a 6, 7, 8 set. Unfortunately, what we've seen consistently in our score data for our students is that their scores get up to 3rd grade, and at 4th grade they drop, and they rise slightly in 5th grade, and they drop in 6th grade, and then they come back in 7th and 8th grade. Part of that is just to go from 3rd grade to 6th grade as we're currently configured, you have to go to 3 different schools, not to mention the challenge that provides to families with 2 children or 3 children. They could be going to 3 different places because they have a 3rd grader, a 5th grader, and a 6th grader, which is not an uncommon family makeup here in Glendale Heights or anywhere else. So in a perfect world, if there were room, when we started to solve the puzzle of time and space, we would have kindergarten through 5th grade. As Queen Bee once was organized many, many years ago, and I think all the kids went to Glenbard North at the time. However, I believe that's true. I even think that Chief Marin went to Glenbard North from Queen Bee. Is that true, Mike?
It is.
Yeah. So
My kids went to West.
They went to West. So yeah, so we've gone through many different iterations in the 159 and a half years of our existence. And so trying to understand that has been a real challenge. Our buildings, none of them would take kindergarten through 5th grade if you split it in 2 in any way, shape, or form. But as we started to look at a kindergarten through 4th grade and then bring the 5th grade to a middle school configuration, then all of a sudden the pieces start to line up. We don't change boundaries about where someone, if you start at Glen Hill, you go to West. If you start at Pheasant Ridge, you go to Glenbard North. That's basically the rule in case anybody was wondering how it's worked, and that hasn't changed in many years. So without changing those boundaries, we settled upon if we could organize in K through 4s, we could consolidate all of our empty space into Pheasant Ridge, or any one of our buildings, because they all take around 600. So then the thought became, can we find something to do with Pheasant Ridge, a special education program, a partnership with another district, or could we find the appropriate community-based partner who might want to lease it from us? We're not selling, the board's been clear, we're not selling a school, but if we could find the right partner and generate legitimate revenue, we could take that revenue and improve the existing schools, maybe even building gyms. So that's how the plan rolled out. And so here's what we decided. We're going for turning Glen Hill into a K through 4, Americana into a K through 4, and this doesn't change high school boundaries because Americana sits within Pheasant Ridge's boundaries, if you think about it from that perspective. We can move our 5th graders safely to what was once called the New West Wing at Glenside Middle School. I don't know, Mr. Marin probably was a student in the New West Wing. Now we call it the Far West, and it's soon to be called the New Old West Wing, as we're proposing some significant revisions. But it's a really interesting part of the building that's integrated with all the major services, but it's also too remote, so under no circumstances would we ever put 5th graders next to 8th graders. That age gap is too big, even though the school code lets us do it. Close to the cafeteria and a STEM lab that we're going to build that I'll show you later in the presentation. Also, too, we would look to take that traffic problem off of the streets of Glendale Heights and out of traffic and into parking loops that are on school property. So the queuing or the waiting wouldn't be a potential catastrophe waiting to happen, or put parents who are in a rush late to work in that position where they have to drop their kid off and swing around the lane. It's one of the scariest things that we have to manage on a daily basis. And there are days of the year where I have to stand out there in the traffic saying, you need to stop because this is going to get somebody hurt. So that being said, and then the other part was this. Like everybody, we're very sensitive to the tax burden. We're very sensitive to the debt load. So part of this solution had to include that this project has to pay for itself. And our board is really committed to pushing me to find ways to reduce our tax debt, or our tax effort that we're putting out there and the burden we're putting on the taxpayers. So we're able to do it because the price of the lease plus the ultimate value of sale really brought us to about 90% of the total cost of the project that we're proposing, and I'm going to show you later. And the additional was reserves that we achieved last year, because last year was the first year that I can find in our financial records that we actually came in under budget. So it's a great thing because the scores have never been higher and we've never been more under budget or living within our means. So this is the piece, again, a big part of the goal and what I'm going to show you through visual aerial views is our best effort in working with our architects, FGM, who I believe are also the architects of record for the village, the traffic engineers from IMEG, as well as civil engineers, to make sure that our solution does work, makes it safer, with minimal disruption to the community, and also, too, is well within all the other ordinances like stormwater ordinances, as well as light pollution from our campuses into the neighboring homes, because as you know, we sit right in neighborhoods as we go. So something that we have to be sensitive to. All right, so Glen Hill School. This visual shows the existing wing of Glen Hill School in a 4,000 square foot gym that our students would be able to use on a daily basis. We'd be able to take our physical education from 1.5 periods a week for all of our students up to 5 periods a week. We think once we get it open, we'll go 4 periods and then start looking for the wiggle room. Because if you build a school schedule, you build it around lunch and then you put PE in there and then everything else just kind of backs into it, because those are the two common experiences daily. But that would be the look from the road as you turned in, if I may. That's a close-up view of the same. Changes that we're tracking right now as we've gone through the process would be what the actual windows look like, but we're looking to kind of tease it into the concept without making it look radically different, but also to not copy the existing brick. You can see it's a secure link that connects the school to the gymnasium, and it's a freestanding structure. So there's an aerial view of Glen Hill School, and I think this one probably describes our efforts the best. That's Glen Hill School as it is. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in this if you like Glen Hill School. You can take a look to the north, which is the top in this case. That is our parking lot. And as you see, they're either inboard or outboard parking spots for parents and for teachers during the school day. By revising that, basically demolishing that parking lot per plan, and putting a parking loop around the outside. We can bring the queuing from Bloomingdale Road onto our property outside of that with parking on a 45-degree angle pull-in to the middle, and then allow for safe curbside drop-off for parents dropping their children off to school each day. We think we can get all the traffic off Bloomingdale Road at arrival and dismissal. In addition to that, the front loop is very convenient. We'll continue to use that for bus because the big goal is to separate foot traffic from car traffic from bus traffic. Makes it safer for everybody else. And obviously, 2 weeks ago, I actually witnessed this. We had a parent pull out, or somebody pull out from the property, and they ran right into traffic, and then there was an accident that led to people calling the office and saying, "Did you call the police?" And I'm like, "No, did you?" Because they happened to actually see it. Also, too, we're going to maximize the utility when we revise this parking lot. That's the parking loop concept. So the queuing from Bloomingdale Road wouldn't be just pulling onto our property, but it'd be tracking around the parking spaces, and we'd go a little bit deeper. We've had a lot of good luck during the project. When we actually went for the bond sale, which was the equal to the lease value and sale value of the property, I think we scored the lowest bond sale rate ever. It's 1.64, which was incredible, and we got terribly lucky when this went down. We had the right 2-week window, and we got just right with the perfect day. That being said, we were fortunate that Representative Conroy wrote us into the governor's capital plan upon his election, and Queen Bee was legislated to have received $300,000 for playground improvement and $300,000 to improve our libraries. We took that money and we're building that in to improve our existing. And in this case, we'll be able to move the playground safely closer to the school and inside of 3 walls. And that's what you're seeing right there. A really kind of interesting piece, and maybe another good bit of fortune, as everyone in this room knows who's worked in the village, stormwater, surface detention, this is a big issue. And maybe people don't know, I had to learn this along the way. If you look to the west of Queen Bee School, that large area that used to be at grade, well, in 1997, the then school board granted an easement in perpetuity, I think for $1, to DuPage County Stormwater Authority, and that whole rectangle, though we can play on it and we cut the grass, it really is under the authority of DuPage County. So working with the village when we were trying to be cost conscious, especially how we spend the tax dollar, the idea came up, why build underground detention, which is a significant cost? Can we do the math and take a look at that big rectangle out there? Maybe that can have it. So with the help of Joanne Kilchbrenner, your representative Paul from Burke Construction, really the whole team, we engaged a process that people thought was unlikely but hopeful, and we asked the county if they would let us revise that, improve that, and that would account for at least what we needed, if not more. What you're seeing is a rendition that's been approved at the county level, and the engineers are working out the details. That change right there saved us conservatively $350,000 in project costs because we're not putting a big box underneath the gym to capture the water. And it's actually environmentally beneficial because it's stormwater. What you can see in the rendition is consistent with the village is doing. We're going to look for natural prairie grasses and plants in the area to help with the water purification and also, too, aesthetically pleasing. And if we can get the thing growing, we're going to teach the kids about it because they're from Illinois, too. But that's what the proposal looks like for Glen Hill. This is Americana coming up President Street towards the library. If you look left, it's not the same exact gym. Inside it is with different colors, different names, so the kids will know where they're at. However, we consider them siblings, not twins. Because each of the buildings, they're similar, but they're not exactly the same. So as we've worked through color scheme and aesthetic, we want to make sure it's equity of service on both sides of town, but also to let each building have its own flavor and its own personality. That's a closer look at the gym that would be at Americana with another iteration of windows. We haven't decided on those yet. There's an aerial view of Americana Elementary School. So that gym would be currently where the mobile or the trailer is. We would demolish that, and that would be the spot for construction. And instead of an overhang that we have right now as our kids, it's mostly we don't use it much anymore. It's a lot of storage that we have out there. That would be a secure link for students, our students to travel from the building into the gymnasium and back and forth. This is the proposed change with appropriate surface detention. Another big win for us north of the parking loop. We could do surface detention here and not put another one of those underground detentions in there as well. And the same concept, we'd contribute to the aesthetics and continuity of the community by having natural prairie grasses and native flowers and plants. Once again, this is the other half of the playground improvement that we're so fortunate to be part of. We would bring that just the same way in between three walls, easier to supervise, safer for kids, and some of the playground concepts are just amazing as we're going through this process. Again, the traffic would come in off the road, it would queue on our space and curbside drop-off so children wouldn't be scrambling up the embankment on Fullerton. A couple years ago, we had parents hit each other, and the one parent was late, so the other parent chased the parent to their work along the way. So that's not optimal. We're also going to return the front of the building as it was originally designed for bus drop-off. So buses to the front, and then certainly parent drop-off, which is pretty common in our community, into the parking loop. We think it'll move quicker, and it will take a lot of it will basically decongest the area in front of the library. Glenside Middle School, as I alluded to earlier, happy to say too, our STEM program is kind of going somewhere. If you ever want to see something really cool, and I appreciate the village covering it video, that was a regular season event. We have a robotics team, actually we have several, and in the Chicagoland finals this year, 2 Glenside teams faced off in the final for first and second place. And it's the second time in 4 years that we won it. There were 30 different schools who were in there. So our kids are taking the opportunities that we're giving them, and they're running with them. We couldn't be more proud. So if you're in Camera Park and you're looking at our cafeteria, there's a blank space there for you can see. So right behind the grass is what we're proposing to bring around 2,000 square feet under roof. And this would be the STEM lab for our 5th graders who'd be coming from Americana. And we'd also include art in there as well. So that's what it would look like from inside of the building, looking out towards Camera Park. In the foreground is a student collaboration space, also a place to meet with parents at conferences, you name it. And then you would go into the STEM lab. Let's see if I can get a better picture of that. And that's where we build the robots and also teach art. It's really kind of cool. We're getting some notoriety for this, and other districts are coming asking to see our programs. We're happy to tell them all about it and what a great village Glendale Heights is and what a great district Queen Bee is. But I think it's beautiful. Our kids love it. And the ability to capture that dead space between wings of our building and make it useful to students, that's fun. As I said, Representative Conroy was greatly helpful. This is a redesign. Our libraries haven't been updated in a long time, so we'll be able to put about $100,000 into our libraries, or each one of our libraries. And as you can see, what this rendition shows is that you could have 3 different things going on in the library. You could have a class taught to the right, which is north. In the center, student collaboration. And to the left, you'd see student browsing for our collection. We're one-to-one with Chromebooks. Right now, we have about 1,500 or 1,600 Chromebooks in homes as we're pursuing our e-learning or our remote learning plan during this time of closure. Our kids use them on a regular basis, and this would be a great place where independently they could work in small groups or with their teacher. So Glenside Middle School is the big ask, and this is the tough one. It's also, too, probably our toughest arrival and drop-off. Last week, coming to work, I turned the corner and I drove right into an accident scene where Glenside Fire Protection District, and I believe it was firefighter Kavanaugh, the giant man, was standing there. One of the parents had hit one of our special education buses, and I had 3 scared children in there. Glenside Fire Protection did an outstanding job organizing the scene. It's what they do. And I walked up and they're like, "Hey, Dr. Williams." I'm like, "What happened?" And then one young man said, "They hit us." I'm like, "Of course they did." We are putting too much traffic into this. We had a traffic study done by a traffic engineer who said, "You're right, there's too much coming in one way, and you've got too many different types." We're a walking community and a bicycling community. We have bikes, we have pedestrians, we have cars, and we have buses all competing to get into the same choke point, and it creates a really tough situation for us. And even so much to the point where we can actually slow down emergency vehicles coming out of the firehouse. And I've talked to Chief Wood about this repeatedly, and we're sensitive to it. The fact is, especially on rainy days when parents, are going to drive their kid, we're blocking the paramedics from getting out of the firehouse. And that's a tough beat. That's why there's that striped painting in front. You can't stop there, but it doesn't stop people from stopping there. So worked closely with the village and have gone through many. Initially, we were looking at using, and I hate to say this, but the road without a name, that's the entryway into Camera Park off of Bloomingdale Road. I hope someday it gets a name. If you want to use Queen Bee, we're fine with it. You can name it the Queen Bee Drive. No, maybe? Okay. So we looked first at using a small loop off of the parking lot back, and then we were reminded that that is very important to the village for the use of the tent, you know, up the event formerly known as Summerfest, Glendale Heights Fest, and that it really would interfere with that, and also might even encourage people to cut across Camera Park, which we have no desire to do. Was lucky to spend some time with Mike Marin and Keith Knauts to look at really what could possibly be. And to their credit, the more they looked at it, they had some really great suggestions, and they said, look, is it possible, and will you work with your engineers to somehow just come off that road sooner, stay away from the parking lot, and the only thing we're losing is a softball field. So when I say that, the only thing is because they were good enough to suggest that perhaps the softball diamond behind that the village plays on for the short season, that our kids would love to play on that. It has lights, so we could redesign that property as long as we had access. And even if we didn't have that opportunity, I could convert our baseball diamond that we just updated to handle softball and baseball because we have portable mounds. But I know we would love to be able to host maybe a twilight doubleheader for our young ladies where they could turn the lights on for game 2 and really enjoy that field because it is beautiful. So what you're seeing is our best attempt to be sensitive to the needs of the village for people to stay away from that parking lot and not to encourage, to even discourage travel across that. We're very fortunate that the road that is yet to be named has a light as it goes, because you could then adjust volume through a traffic study and the county could go through and do their thing. But what we're proposing is that instead of piling into Glenside Middle School from the north, that they come off Bloomingdale, come onto the road, take a turn off directionally onto Queen Bee property, and then we have our parking loop and they come out the same way. The darker colors represent the same commitment to surface detention and native plantings for aesthetic and environmental reasons as well. And we think that that would be a smart and safer option to what we're doing right now. Also, too, in candor, the more we studied it, the more we realized there wasn't a perfect plan. However, every iteration that we've looked at, this one gets the most bang for the buck. It's the safest, it's the best. But I think it would require, because I was had a chance to talk to law enforcement, so talk to Chief Flint and George Pappas as well, and I've heard from Mike Marin that there's a need to make sure people don't go cutting through. We think, as we've used on our properties in the past, that a gate might be able to prevent that, a gate that Queen Bee would be able to man to make sure that it was closed so it didn't encourage it. And actually probably a 2-gate system at the elbow there so no one could ever even think about it. One of the things we'd be able to do, if we're fortunate enough, because I'm going to ask your permission or your support in forming an intergovernmental agreement, would be that Queen Bee could commit to keeping that road clear of snow. Our trucks, they push a lot of snow every time. We could take that off the village's back up into where those gates are and keep it clean because we'd have a need to use it. And also, too, having a chance in that same meeting to see what the village is doing with Camera Park with the upgrades. There has been some discussion about community garden. I asked our architects to work on that, and I've talked to our board. We do have some unbuildable land that can't have anything that would disturb the earth on it. So we could do a flower box community garden at the field immediately to the east across the street and just south of Queen Bee School. It's adjacent to it. There are some old ball fields there that don't get used. We have plenty of other ones. And it might just be a brilliant opportunity to annex that piece of property into Glendale Heights, because actually it's not, right? That's the one piece of property we have that's not in the village proper. But as part of the intergovernmental agreement, annex that in and work with the village to, at no charge, to develop a community garden, because it's some great, beautiful green space. And I think it would fit in with the continuity of the entire plan based on the grant for Camera Park. So, our future. We are committed to increase quality of programs. Every day, we're looking to make it better, and I'm proud to report to you, we have schools right now with over 90% virtual attendance. Our students are using the same programs at their homes. God love their parents, because their parents are like, this is hard. And we're like, yes, it is. But they're logged in. We right now, over these 3 days of unexpected, but we were prepared, we have an average of 600 Chromebooks at any one time active and working. And today they got as high as 44 classes virtually were in session at the same time, which is amazing. So we can kind of see what they're doing. A little fun fact, I was looking at the most common search terms today. The fourth most common search term by a Queen Bee student today was unicorn cake. I'm still waiting to find out what a unicorn cake is. I'm going to Google it myself and add to the madness. But our students are using the resources we have, and they value their education, and they want to see us continue to work to make it better. We also want to increase our efficiency. It's not responsible to have 600 empty class seats. In my business, it's not. And I can't look at my school board and say, hey, they're just 600 seats. That's 600 seats that we should be doing something with. And we're very fortunate that Amita Glen Oaks Hospital approached us and said we'd be interested and we could come to an agreement that would make sense, because it certainly is not, it's a deal that's fair financially and ethically to both sides. And we were very public about the price and very appreciative of the process working with Mr. Christian and representatives from META. And also, too, we value the program that would like to be in Pheasant Ridge next year that will be there. Glen Oaks Therapeutic Day School, we feel lucky to have them as a partner when we have a student who needs their service. They've got a long history of success and some quality people. Also, too, we think we can reduce congestion and arrival and also make it safer. We can also make it easier for emergency services to get out of their house and get into our property when need to. Also, too, improving our financial position. A key element of our plan is that we are not going to add to the burden, and the way that we finance this deal and put it together through alternative revenue issue. And really, when we hit at about a 1.6% rate, it doesn't get much better than that when you're in this position. We feel that we got a value and we have an ambitious schedule for the money that we have, but we're not laying debt for the future. And another really fun piece of thing that happened is that we applied and received a $3.2 million tax abatement grant from the State Board of Education. So over the next 2 years, in year one, we have committed to abating $1.6 million, and we'll be reimbursed by the State Board for 91% of that. At the end of the day, it's hard to estimate, but we'll give up between $250,000 and $300,000 in revenue in 2 years. However, the taxpayers of Queen Bee School District 16 will pay in aggregate $3.2 million less than they would have otherwise paid. And that's really exciting for us because, as you well know, schools cost a lot, but candidly, they don't have to cost this much. We're doing our best to live within our means. We're ambitious about opportunities to lessen the burden on the taxpayers. And this is our plan to continue to improve our programs, doing so for a value. But I need your cooperation and help because it's your nameless road, and we'd like to make some modifications. Are there any questions? I'm sure.
Anybody has any? Trustee Light.
Dr. Williams, who would control this gate? And would it be for emergency access and stuff like that? The fire department would have access to this also?
Yep.
Not a locked gate?
So, Trustee Light, I think that that's part of the question. The gate would be used to discourage parents at arrival and dismissal time from cutting through and going against the directional turn-in. So, as we're thinking about initially, when my ops team got to work in the morning, about 6 in the morning, that gate would be closed. And once the children were in by 8:30, the gates would be open because we don't want to interfere with the design or the flow of traffic. And really, the problem isn't between 8:30 and 2:30. The problem is right at arrival and right at dismissal. Over time, there was a gate like this they used in front of Glenside years ago when there was less traffic to train people. We don't even use the gate anymore because people know that lane's for buses, that lane's for cars. But we, through the intergovernmental agreement, would take 100% responsibility for putting that gate in place, personing that gate, for lack of a better term, for the periods that we agreed it needed to be closed to prevent the flow through traffic, and then reopening it at the end of that period.
Would summer programs be affected by this gate also? Because I know like with our fest time, you guys have summer programs and stuff, correct?
Oh, yes, we run a pretty ambitious summer school with over 400 kids in different programs. They wouldn't be affected. I actually believe in the summertime, the traffic drops off significantly. Our big issue in separating the traffic is around arrival and dismissal. But for the days that the gate would be in operation, which would be school days when students were in regular attendance, we'd be responsible for making sure they were in the fixed position to prevent cutting across the park and creating another traffic problem, and then reopening it so the community has full use.
Right. I was just really curious about that, how that was going to work. And then I noticed on Google Earth, there's a path that goes from our property to your school, which would be right there. What's this path used for?
Let me go back. At Glenside, sir?
Yes, Glenside, I'm sorry. Yeah, right there, that path.
Yeah,
Current.
Yeah, it's current. People walk on it. Our property line actually extends right to the drainage ditch. So that
Right.
corner you're walking off, it's like 2 or 3 steps and you're right onto school district property.
I didn't know what the path was actually for, if the students use that for any particular reason.
No,
if
right, at present, parents do, and we don't encourage it, but there might even be a couple culprits or former culprits in this room who've dropped off their kids in the back and had them walk
That was
as it goes.
one of my questions.
Not former Chief Marin, maybe-ish.
And then,
But part of this drop-off would be to remove that, to be honest. It'd be a directional turn-in with a circle, and that whole problem would go away, because what we're looking at in that loop would be room for 8 to 11 cars for curbside drop-off. It would move really quickly.
how about access for the fire department? Would that loop be enough for them to turn around?
Absolutely, and that's really to the specs as we're working with the architects. If you can't get emergency vehicles onto that for the appropriate width, we can't build it. We're held to every code you can imagine, sir.
And then no power lines we got to worry about? You
None
don't have
whatsoever.
anything? All right. That was all the questions I had, really.
Thank
Anybody
you, Trustee
else?
Light.
Pat?
Doctor, why is a gymnasium building way higher than the regular buildings
Yeah,
in height?
can I go back? I'm gonna try to get back just so you can take a look.
There you go.
The simple answer is so we can play volleyball, that we can play basketball, and if you look in the background of this one, you can actually see it. It's the same height as our existing gym.
It just looks like it looks much bigger.
Absolutely. No, these are modest. Yeah, these aren't field houses, but we're very proud. And also, too, I should have included interior renderings. These are built for kindergarten through 4th grade students. So we could even have family events in there. It's a rubberized, safer floor. Currently, our students are on tile. And we are all on tile, but there weren't the better alternatives that we have today. But yeah, that is an even roof level, just at our gym in the background. That is also the cafeteria. Sports.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Chester?
You go ahead, trustee.
Schmidt.
The road at the south side of Glenside Middle School that you would propose access to the loop, is that built sturdily enough to handle the increased traffic, or does that have to be beefed up at all?
It's our understanding that, this is Mike Marin, Bill. It's our understanding that the roadway was built with the appropriate amount of asphalt and base in order to accommodate the vehicle traffic that would be going over it. The benefit to this is that there is no buses that are supposed to be going in this direction, so this is just car traffic.
Okay, but if it turns out that that's in error and the pavement deteriorates, will the school district pay for replacement?
I think in the intergovernmental agreement, I think we would probably address that because we would be increasing the wear and tear on this, and also to agreeing to snow removal and those kind of things. I don't know that 100% would be in our best interest because we're not the only ones who use it. But I think some kind of a ratable apportionment would seem fair. My guess is the attorney would argue the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. If you decide to build this little road going around, would it require speed bumps in the summer to slow traffic down? Because you're going to have a long gap over there.
Oh, for sure. And we're going to build it with code. One of the other things we're looking at, Trustee Pojek, was actually the installation of bollards near any kind of build, really to protect the buildings from cars that lose control. Or if I can go back and give you a good look. It's not at Glenside, but I'll give you a good picture. Let's see here. So there, as you're coming around the parking circle, let's say, for example, at Americana, putting bollards between where the children will safely walk behind and then also to slightly in front of the gym is that for safety purposes, just in case someone takes their foot off the brake while they're going through. Certainly, we would look at some kind of a speed bump or to make sure people were behaving back there, because it's to the point, this is a safety initiative and an efficiency initiative.
Well, with that road going through there, you're going to have kids walking, so you're going to have a little sidewalk or a...
This was back to Glenside.
Yes.
Let me take it back. Well, it's kind of a fun opportunity here, and I know you can't see it. Do you see there is a sidewalk that walks right out of the loop and into it? And a really interesting piece is if you head directly east, right off the loop, you're going to where our band performs every morning. And if anybody's a band parent or sees it, they start really early, and this really increases the level of safety. They're not walking onto our property. Their parents can drop them off right there. They can walk into a 3-sided courtyard and right into their band program. And also, too, there's the... just to the north of the loop, but inside the loop, that would be the 8 classrooms that are allocated for our 5th grade students. They're in close proximity to their own STEM lab, in addition to our cafeteria, without having to traipse across the building. So there'd be 2 entrances we'd be using, one for band, and really anybody else that came out of their parents' car. But our band kids, they're walking around here at like 6:30 in the morning when it's dark in the wintertime. That's a much better option. And then also, to our 5th graders that go right into their own wing.
So if I,
Go ahead.
do you mind, Trustee Pojek? On the loop that's going around itself, is there any type of a sidewalk that follows that loop from the street with no name to the doors?
No, that apron starts when you get, if you can see it, the detail, I can see it from here. The apron starts right where the road splits. That's where you'd see like a walking apron, because drop-off could happen there, and that's where they would get out of a car and walk. So our students commonly don't walk to school that way. You'll see they come across Bloomingdale. They could still walk in, really, because buses arrive at a very specific time and they leave at a specific time. The hard part about cars is you don't know when they're coming, and you don't know who's late, and you don't know who... There's a lot of variables there, and if it's actually dangerous when you're here, because when parents want to get out quickly, they start moving around. So we like that they cross where the crossing guards are and at the marked intersections.
I would imagine that any students coming from the south of the district are going to be walking north on Bloomingdale Road. They'll turn into the Camera Park entrance, walk down the pathway that's on the south side of the Camera Park entrance, and then need to cross to get to the actual physical entrance of Glenside, which is off of this traffic loop. So I think what Trustee Pojek is asking, and I don't mean to speak for you, but is there a sidewalk that leads along the traffic loop from the Camera Park entrance off of Bloomingdale Road to the doorway of Glenside Middle?
At present, in this plan, no, Trustee Pojek, there isn't. However, and now that, thank you, Nicole, you taught me how to use the pointer, the apron starts here, right where they walk, but we don't have a plan right now. We can take a look at it certainly in the rendition. Students generally walk up, if they're walking from the south, they walk up the sidewalk on Bloomingdale Road, come onto our property here, and they walk in the front door. That's how that traditionally right now, because you really can't enter through the back. We'd be bringing this part of the building to life right now. There was a mobile and a trailer there for years that we had removed last year, thankfully, and it's a real great opportunity to make this a nice outdoor space.
Dr. Williams, is it possible, or should I get it from Joanna, a picture of this, so I can look at it right in front of me?
I handed print copies to Mr. Marin, who I think is going to hand you one now, sir.
No, you won't have none. Or
It's okay.
You can get another one?
I will get another print copy.
I've got it on my computer as well, sir.
All right. Does anybody else need a copy? No?
Sure.
Yes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can get it tomorrow.
Okay, you'll get it tomorrow. All right.
Mike, I'll have, Trustee Pojek, I'll have color copies sent over to your attention. Let me know how many you need.
Be helpful, very helpful. Any more other discussions? strictly a discussion. There's no action taken on this. We'll have to look to take this into consideration, correct?
I think we're just looking for direction of the board if it is something that you are interested in having the staff enter into discussions with the school district to form and bring back an IGA to allow something like this to occur.
So fine with me.
Mike, I'd be fine with it, but I would like to see talk about a sidewalk in there for the kids, at least, for moving forward with that. And also, more on this gate system, because it's got me a little bit concerned with timing and forgetting and, just mishaps in general.
That certainly would be something that we would spell out in the IGA with the school district and bring back for your perusal.
And I would like to go on a little road trip with you and Keith to circle it, so I get a better
Absolutely.
idea.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Well, thank you, Dr. Williams.
Trustee Pojek, thank you for the opportunity. Mayor Jackson, thank you, and entire board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, thank you.
Trying to get the traffic off of Stevenson.
Hey, we are trying, and so the other part is there's no traffic at Pheasant Ridge going forward. They arrive in buses and buses only at a specific time, and they leave that way. I thank you, Trustee Mariotto, for reminding me that we would unclog Stevenson around Pheasant Ridge. No more people calling the police because they can't get out of their driveway. And we'd be really happy about that because the police are great and so are the taxpayers, and this will help us get there.
And I won't get no more phone calls.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there you go. Or maybe you'll get nicer phone calls like, thanks for helping us.
Everybody wins on this one.
Yes, sir.
That's the goal.
Oh, sure. And so thank you. That's Mike Somerville. He's our board president.
Who is that?
Yeah, really.
I think
he's
we
very
know
well
who
known.
he
I
is.
know with that cap.
Also, too, so we have a school district app. We've had 70,000 plus visits on our website this year. We resigned a couple years ago. It really communicates well, and you can also translate it into any of the languages our parents speak, unless someone moves in with a language we haven't heard of, and we'll try to figure that out. It's a Google Translate work. We also have an app. If you want to go on the webpage, you can download, or you can go into your app store and download the Queen Bee 16 app and set it for alerts to things that you'd like to be alerted to. We're using it right now, and we're very engaged with our parents about what's actually going on and how we're trying to support them in this challenging time. But even when there's not an emergency, the app's really helpful, and I know police and fire have downloaded it, so Chief Wood always watches it and asks me about things. So, yeah, but thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and we sincerely would appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good evening.
I do have one question.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor.
How soon do you think we'll be able to
Yeah.
come up with the IGA for the community garden? Because
I'd say we kind of wrap it all into one, Mayor. We could do it all in one agreement.
that would be great.
And one of the concepts we're looking at that we think might be the most helpful, community gardens are great. If you love plants and gardens, this is really exciting. We probably would. The architects have talked it through and said, hey, you know what? We designed a planter box or a series of planter boxes that would really make it a lot easier to maintain. Also, to be easier on people who maybe shouldn't be kneeling so much anymore. They can kind of work more at a waist level and make it. It's really an accessibility issue to take it off the ground.
Right.
And so we have some pretty good ideas for that we'd have designed pro bono, and we'd be delighted to see that field go to use.
Good. It would be good to get them both done at the same time.
Wrap it up. All right.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Have a good
evening.
night. We got anything else? I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Trustee Light,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Second.
Sorry, Sharon.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Good evening.